All right, everyone. The Trump administration's people in the DHS slash FEMA are looking into the possibility of freezing funding for certain groups, actually, that are registered to receive funding, mainly for security upgrades and things like that. In the wave of the invasion of Gaza, a lot of money was freed up for that purpose for certain religiously associated groups because there was judged to be an excessive threat to those locations, to those individuals, and so security cameras and fencing and stuff like that were provided. Let me ask a question first. When the leftists say that this is a target against Muslim groups, Islam is not mentioned even once in the filings that were made, in the scuttlebutt between people at FEMA talking about this. So that's number one, and it's not just groups that are associated with Islam that are potentially on the chopping block for some of this funding. Secondly, I'm going to ask another question. Why is it that it's important for taxpayer money to be given to religiously affiliated organizations of any kind? I don't care if they're doing charity work. It doesn't matter to me whether they're Christian, Jewish, Islamic, Hindu. It's a dedicated atheist group that, packs up toys for children for, if not Christmas, I guess, Festivus or something like that. It doesn't matter. If it's a group associated with that kind of ideology, doesn't it breach the First Amendment actually to actually take my money and give it to a group that's associated with a religion? And by default, of course, even in charitable work, religions are attempting to convert people. These organizations also do conversion work and things like that, things of a religious nature. My money does not need to pay for your Holy Communion. My money does not need to pay for your call of prayer horn or something like that is not necessary. And much of the money will be squandered and embezzled anyway. But again, it doesn't matter what organization it is. If you think that there's not corruption from the top to the bottom in these organizations, then you're more charitable towards the charities than me. We've seen this before as well with groups that aren't aligned with any religion or social movement or something like that, but left, right, or center, some libertarian cause, some nationalistic cause. Let's say that a bunch of nationalists set up a charity in all white neighborhoods, of course, and they were giving out toys to impoverished white children or something. Do you think that it would ever be upheld in a court of law that taxpayer money should be dispensed to such an organization, even if it had no religious overtones or anything? They're just like, hey, we're nationalists, we love America, and we want to help people. Well, it's a charity. They're definitely pushing a message. They're trying to get positive publicity, and they're using your taxpayer money to get it. That's not acceptable. Charity should generally be private anyway. Shouldn't need this the federal funding and stuff. Who cares if there's an enhanced security threat? That's what local law enforcement and things like the FBI are for. Oh wait, they can't do their job and they're sometimes not even allowed to do so. So I'm sure that the Islamic charity in a big blue city is probably going to be more privy to local funding availability than the Christian charitable organization. I'm just going to throw that out there. And if you go out into the middle of Wyoming, you're probably not going to find a whole lot of Islamic charity movement going on. You're probably not going to see a whole lot of it. The differential is the problem. It's like when you had the so-called, this is basically Muslim travel ban 2.0. You might remember that when the Islamic world was getting, more and more dicey and there were more and more forewarnings of potential terrorist activity. Donald Trump decided to block flights from certain nations of that kind. Now, they said this is an Islam ban, but it wasn't a Muslim ban because most of the majority Islamic nations in the world weren't affected. Islamists in other countries not on the list weren't affected. It had nothing to do with them. It had to do with the fact that the Trump administration said, well, these states are sponsoring terrorism, so we're going to limit, travel and stuff like that because it's an existential threat to the country. Now, what if they had done that? What if they had blocked entry into the country from Eastern Europe, for example? Would this be a war on the orthodoxy? Would this be a war on Orthodox Christianity? What if you decided, hey, India has a lot of commie activity, and it does, by the way, going on right now in some of its provinces. So we're going to have a travel ban to and from India. You can bypass it, but, for what it's worth, we're going to have a travel ban because it's too dangerous. Is that an attack on Hindus? Again, it doesn't affect the Hindu majority in certain parts of the UK, and it is a majority in certain parts now. It doesn't affect Hindus already in the United States. It doesn't affect a Hindu that happens to be living in Venezuela, although they've got their own travel problems, not without good reason. It doesn't affect them. So it's not a Muslim ban any more than this is a ban on Muslim groups getting aid from FEMA. If they have ties to organizations that are involved with terrorism potentially. The allegation is that some of these groups are associated directly with other movements. And so because money is a fungible asset, if you give them 50 million bucks, they can offset 50 million in other costs, use that particular 50 million dollars for security upgrades and stuff, and then shuffle off 50 million dollars to their associates. This happens all of the time because money is a fungible asset. You can mix it in together. Let's say you give me $20 and I've got $20 in my wallet and you say you're only allowed to buy sparkling water with this. For some reason, you're just really into that. Okay, thanks. Take the $20. You buy $20 of sparkling water. What have you just done? You now have $20 to buy anything else that you happen to want. Effectively, you've already gotten $20 from this other person. The fact that the rest of it was earmarked doesn't prevent you from doing anything with the rest. And oftentimes earmarks don't work anyway. They're simply ignored. And as the money trickles down from the organizers and bundlers to the shell company to the third party and then down to the other people, at every step you're losing money anyway. Efficiency goes down, embezzlement can happen, corruption, the funneling of money towards third parties, and things like that. I don't think that our tax money should be used to front any organization with religious affiliation. It's a violation of the Constitution. The government is effectively playing favorites with religion. Easy solution. Ban all of them from getting this funding. Ta-da! Well, you can't say it's discriminatory now. Muslim groups, Christian groups, Jewish groups, non-aligned groups, the atheistics over there that are, they're getting teddy bears to tots or something like that. They shouldn't be receiving taxpayer money. It's not my problem if they have a security concern. They can take care of it themselves. Who gives a fuck? I really do not care. If there's an attack on one of their facilities or something, I would hope that they have security. I would hope that they're capable of providing it themselves. The fact that they're a charity doesn't mean that they don't have an operative budget. Not everyone that works in charity is working for free. Everyone's got to make a living. Again, lowering the efficiency further. The most efficient way to give charity is, shit, I grew too many tomatoes. I'm going to go door to door and give free tomatoes to my neighbors. Or I'm going to give them to a food shelf or something like that, something where there's very little overhead and it's largely local. Doing that is great. And it's also very fun, by the way. Everyone grows too many zucchinis other than me, by the way. I'm the only person in the world that has a problem with growing fucking zucchinis. I don't understand it. So I'll have to donate like bell peppers and okra and tomatoes and stuff like that. And, it's tasty. When that peach tree gets older, assuming it continues to survive, yeah, you can get quite a haul off of one tree. That one year, that was a tasty time, let me tell you. I ate hundreds of peaches that summer, and unfortunately didn't think to preserve any. Probably this next time around, I'm going to do that. That's about all. Peace out.